Welcome. This is Crime Queen. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we get excited about love. This is where we ignite that which dwells from within us, that which comes alive, makes us smile, makes us laugh. Hence, we say the crimson light is live. So, I love to mention about the love vibration, of course, which scientists has found it to be very beneficial. But I just love the idea of discovering it in the story of Abraham and Sarah, where their names had been changed, and of course, in our language or expression or utterances where we say aha or ha or ahaha or anything of that denotes that laugh vibration as was really in that name change, and I'm believing that that was really a profound message there for us to pay attention to. So I just really love that discovery. I hope you have also, if you haven't watched the video on that, it would be a wonderful discovery or something to do with Abraham and Sarah. Anything like that would cover that lesson or discovery where you see Abraham or Sarah. It's just lovely. Okay, so this is what we are doing here. We are about having fun here because we understand when we are having fun, the word fun hangs on that vibration of the number five, which is, of course, five is in five letters, which we discover in Libra, the zodiac sign, and because five, it's like an anchor. It's like that anchor that you can hang the scales, balance the scales of Libra on it. And also, we know that five is key. It equals Christ. And whether we say Christ is key, Eve is key, of course, everything has its positive, negative. It's really finding that balance of where we need to be. But when we are in Christ, we're told we are a new creature. In that five scale here, that middle, which is NEW, is we are always presented with the option of it's like going up a hill, for instance. It's like going up a hill, or you get halfway up the hill and you think, oh, I'm not sure I really want to get to the top, or I think I want to go back to the bottom. So it might be that kind of scenario you are faced with. Now, I have known through my experience as well, there would be times, it seemed like to run up a hill. Of course, you'd have to psych yourself up from the bottom of the hill. You'd have to really get that vibration at a certain peak that can take you up to the hill. So, depending on what you're wanting to achieve, you may have to go back down the hill here in that jazz vibration. Of course, jazz is really like JAZZ in this column where you know you can, it's that, um, well, existential element, if you like, of all these different vibrations in you, and you want to take off with it. Okay, so that's what happens here. And then, you could get to that middle point of the hill and think, oh, I have been here before. I have known what it requires. You have a sense of what it requires to take you to this point of that nine, the hill, where you are birthing a new breath, a new sense of self, a new direction. Of course, when you're on top of the hill, you still have to make a decision. But then when you're on top of the hill, how long can you stay there for? You may just have to decide, well, I've got to go back. Or whatever it is that you birth on top of the hill, you need to go back to give it that nutritional primary learning or nutritional elements that that is necessary from this point. So we go through the cycle again. Hence, we are now discovering, working on with the number six. We are going through number six because we are in this new vibe. It's amazing how the numbers seem to really take that, they really act activate that function within us. So basically, I had gone to completing my presentations on number 6, and this is the very predicament I found myself in. It's as if I was faced with a challenge in the new, in not only in the new, but moving into that Fox dimension. I was faced with the challenge of how am I going to address this? What do I know? What is it that I've already learned that I could take with me to this Fox City? And so I can see that what I am saying was the very thing or the very function that was taking place from within me. But however, I have done like what it seemed like an introduction to number 6 again, and so I get a sense of what is required here in that Fox News. So I had been talking about Fox News. But let's change it to Crimey Queens News, right here. Let's do that instead. Of course, we can always implement the Fox News, but this is the thing. Hey, we can see that no matter how new dimension we are faced with, we can't seem to forget what is around us or our environment. In fact, even if we think or when we think we are faced with something entirely new, it is not new. We are taking parts of ourselves and lessons that we feel is essential to help us to survive in Fox City. And so it may seem like we are in a new city, but we are actually just looking at things in a new way or applying the resources we have or we take with us or the tools to apply them in a new way. It is new to us because we are in a new environment or we are with new people, a new way of thinking, but that's what it's all about, a new consciousness, a new awakening, and that's what it's about. So we are now moving from number 6. I have added this 369, which has been part of our template. We have seen these numbers have derived from adding these numerical values. This is why we get that block. In case you're new to this channel, this is what we have come across. Since I have been doing this, I have noticed great mathematicians, of course, are working with these numbers. I am not at that level where I can decipher the deeper meanings yet, but I'm sure this is going to come as we go along. And I know that it means so far for what I am doing, each block is really denoting that it constitutes 9. Each block of 3 is like saying it is 9. If we add this block of 3 here, we are faced with 6. This gives us 6, the 3 blocks here. We also, with the reef, gives us 6 here. Let's stick that 6 in Mother Eve's mouth and pretend it was a fruit. Okay, and we have that ice, ICE, of course, equals 6. Now, isn't it amazing that the word sacrifice, I'm just looking at this because we are looking at the number 6 as well. In fact, we're going along with spirit. We see here in this bracket that if we were to add numbers 1, 2, 3, and this gives us 6, and we add number 4, 5, and 6, that gives us 15. Of course, we get 6. So this is 5 and 15. And then we have ICE, this is which would be 9 and 3 would be 12, 12 and 5 would be 19, would be 12 and 5 would be 17. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yes. So why have I got 6 here? This is interesting. Oh, I'm meant to be counting the numbers instead. here. Sorry, I have been counting eyes, but it's really amazing now that I have done this by mistake. But it's also showing 17, meaning God. So it'd be interesting to do this. The word value. So we have I here already, which is denoting the 17 for God. So God can be cold too. God can be ice. This is what we are seeing here. So this ice ICE equals 17 equals God. Okay. And reef we have here, although I have done all these words, but I've done them with a compilation of many other words that I'm not sure that it transpired like this. So here we have RIF, and we see how this is these figures here or letters can be multiplied by 3. This is 9, 9, and 6. 9 and 9, 18, 19, 20. That would be 24. But that gives us 6. That gives us 6 here. Now that's amazing. Um, yes, 9 and 9, because this is 9, 18, and 6. That would be 24. Okay, so RIF is 24, RIF 24, so that's 6. And we have sac. I have been talking about the sac from what this is what gives which feeds the breast, and so on. So sac is 5. So this is of course 3, 1, 1. So that is 5. Sac is 5 because sac is Eve. Okay, so sac is 5. Now, if we were to add this together, I just want to see what the numerical summary would be for that, the total amount on this would be. So this would be 11, 5 and 6, 11, 11 and 8 would be 19, of course, because the whole word gives us 46, so of course it equals 10. Of course. Okay. So this of course we have gone through the significance of 10, which is heaven, which is sacrifice. It gives us that sense of start. It's that newness. It's that new birth. It's that new or where you are presented with the polarities, but of course that's the pure sense of what is presented to us. Okay, so but the sixes here, we know that we get these sixes from these numbers here, and we get the 369, 369, 369. So we see from each block we are dealing with number 6 and number 9. 6 and 9 is 15, 1 and 5 is 6. So the whole sacrifice template in this sense here is really showing us the significance of our existence. In this sense, we could say that it is really presenting to us that love. We have done the numerical value for love, which equals 9. So it's basically looking at love. We have also done the numerical value. If we look at, if you watch my videos on number 5 as well, well, with Eve, but you will see how 8 also comes into being, because this 8, where the eye is open, we see how the love, the word love, LOVE, which is 3, 6, 4, 5. That's 9 and 9, 18. So we see this equals 9. But we also see love with the I, the word I, when Eve saw that it was good for food. And we saw that when I did the numerical values for Eve in Leo, and looking at the planets, the zodiac signs of Libra, Aries, and Libra, Aries is the third one. Well, there were five with five letters. Okay, and Libra, Aries. It's not Pisces, no. Okay, it's going to come, but there were three. Okay, and basically, we see how these they play out, and we were able to see how the number 8 also came into that factor, how Leo came into the factor of being the eighth, um, being number 5. Leo also was number 5, but it also transpired that, of course, Leo being the 8th month of August. So we see how the love had played out in that presentation. So I am making mention of that to show how the numbers are interrelated, how the I is not only 9 here in sacrifice, it is also as the letter I. Um, it's not only the letter I, but it's also the word I, which equals 8. Okay, and of course we have in that block of Rif, the number 6 is what we are working with. So each compartment really shows that element of 6. It is really evident here in that word sacrifice how we tend to live in this our existence is as if we are being set up. It really looks like that we are being set up in this jazz block from 1 to 3. We are able to do all sorts of things and have all kinds of agreements going here, whether they were positive or negative, in that BKT, in that bucket of water, wine, whatever it is that we do here. Of course, this is where we know Christ had also changed water into wine. We could say that there was agreement happening here. This is where he sat with his disciples with the 13, which forms the B, the letter B, which is also the beehive. In fact, the word beehive, I believe, also comes to 6. I need to double check that, but that would be interesting because it falls right here. I think it does because I think I've done this before. So beehive, Hive. So this is 549,852. Okay, so this is 9 and 9, 18, and 8 is 26, 18, yes, 1926, and 5 would be 31, and 2 is 33. So 33, 3 and 3 is 6. So we see how 6, which is 246, this comes under that column here, and of course it encapsulates the whole sack, which is what which the number 6, or the sack here, is what gives of milk, nutrition, honey, whatever it is, comfort, and all those aspects of our primal nurturing takes place here. All right, and it's not to say that we don't revisit this section again and again. I believe that's what happens as we grow older, as we become more conscious. There are times I think we go back, we revisit these aspects. Well, I certainly have in in my therapies or whatever it is that I go through. I have found it very necessary to revisit this area time and time again, and always taking me back into a newness, because unless I do this over and over, I am not able to experience this new way of seeing or being or thinking time and time again, which is, of course, this is part of life's excitement, as well as healing and progressing and evolving. Okay, so we have these two eyes here. Of course, we are just refreshing ourselves with number 6. we can't really take away that number 6 here in that new. It is really part of Eve and part of Christ. And this is where we see if we add 5 and 6 together is 11. This is evident. This is where Jesus, that's the Jesus aspect. This is the number 11 that we are. This is where things are so. It's as if you have to be on the peak of the mountain here in that middle and you saw, because if you are in the middle, like in this position, you are actually automatically dividing, if you like, these four figures from the other four. There is something in the middle here. Whenever there is something in the middle, it is dividing these two parts. And here is another meaning of what it could mean to say, and if so, it was good. So, meaning there was balance to make it good. When there is balance, we can look to the left and we can look to the right and be able to make a distinction or evaluation. Then we can say it is good we are in that position to do that. That is where we are in the position to do that. We can't really do that from that position, not consciously from one, because we are not able to see from both sides from this point here. And that's what it means when Eve saw that it was good. Or Christ is good, or Christ was given the good news because Christ was here to be able to say it is good. And here we are talking about 6. It looks like we are going to have a lot to say about 6. Of course, we were created on the 6th day of the week. Well, if there was a week, we were created on the 6th day. Of course, a week is one. Like I have done on the previous presentation, we've seen how one has come into being. Of course, 33. And of course, Genesis is also equals 33, and 3 is 6. That is one. The day of rest included in here is also saying that is one. We have done the numerical value for the number 1 to show how 6 or 7, in fact 7, is 1. So anytime we are doing 7, we have done a cycle. A cycle is one cycle, and that's how we see. In fact, perhaps it's no wonder. It really is almost spooky that there are no, this is 369, no sevens. But we know 7 is really a very, very sacred number. We have the 7 planets, we have the 7 chakras, but we are not talking about 7 right now. But we're just mentioning this in the sense of how we have seen also how the north, south, east, and west have derived with the number 7. And so this also is showing how number 6 and number 5 and number 7 is all intertwined in this bracket. But it seemed like, let's look at something here. Okay. So we were looking at number 7. We saw how 7, we have done this, and how the good news, yes, the good news equaled 7. That meant, we know what good is. Good is 5. Oh, and if we were to add news, which is 7, so 5 and 7 is 12, okay, and we could see how 12, okay, there it is, so 12, half of 12 is 6, so there we see how 6 is also portrayed in the good news. So good news, or a news, because it's really news. So we're talking about news here. If we talk about news, and I like how the timer says 24, because 2 and 4 is 6. This is, I love it. Okay, so good is 5. and news is 7. News is 7. 5 plus 7 is 12. 1, 2 equals 3. 3. So good news, but if we could see this is what 3 does on that vibration that we have been talking about, because vibrations is really 3. But when we talk about 12 here and being in the position of the news, whoever's giving the news is in that position, whether to be biased about the news or give the news in an authentic way, they are in the middle, they are in a position of news. So we could also say that perhaps when Eve and the serpent was having this conversation, they both were in that position. It was a new position. There was a discussion whether the fruit was good. If you eat of it, whether you die. So this was the position here as well. There was a discussion going on right there in that news. So they were talking about they could have called it good news, or bad news. Interesting to look at bad news as well. We have never heard of news being bad. People are just, of course, there must be because Christ. So let's look at bad news. So this is 2, 1, and 4. So this is 5 and 2, 7. So this is interesting. So it meant bad and news would be 15. So bad would be 7 and news would be 7. So 7 and 7, 14. Sorry, that would be 5. And perhaps it's no wonder it has been perceived as bad news in this sense anyway, because it does add up to 5. And we can understand that as well. It's like it had been seen as bad news, but then that's what constitute that news. So there was good news, there was bad news. If we go back to this 5 and 3 of good news, if we were to add those two together, that would be 8, which would be infinite. That is the 8 that would be that would denote this 8 here, the 8 that we come to right here. So good news and bad news actually comes to 8. So let's do this. Good news. So this is 5, this is 7, this is bad, and this is also a 7. So bad is 5, we said. This is 4, 1, and 2. So 4 and 1, 5 and 2, 7. 7 plus 7 is 14. 14. But then if we were to say, this is my argument now. If we were to say that Eve had come from that bad news, or Eve was that bad news because it came 7 and 7, 14, then it would mean that would have been there from even before, whenever we saw that God created the heaven and the earth. It was in 7 days, but we could take it back further to before Eve being born, and we see how 7, whenever we see the word saw, and God saw that what he had done was good, we have seen how the number 7 and had been saw. So how there had been 2 sevens. If you explore my presentations on that, so there were 2 sevens. We could see how those sevens came about, where 5 came about, where 7 came about. 5 and 7 is 12. How the divisions were happening. Not 12, sorry, the 2 sevens. Okay. And Christ, the point I was trying to make here is that Christ too came from a lineage of 14, meaning that 14 was also saw. That was cut. So there's 7 and 7. So do we also say that Christ was bad news? but yet he came with the good news because they come from the direct correlation when it comes to numbers 14. Okay. Right. So, all right. So we're going to explore six again because we have looked at SAC, how the number six have come here, and we have the six in the middle. It six follows the middle in each of the sections. So that to me is saying something very significant, and we want to explore that because we are six. We are all the numbers, of course, but when we are told that God created us in his image and likeness, or God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, these numbers really have great resonance with us. The number six, and it's also the number of love, or Venus, and of course Venus too equals 8, which we could see how 8 is infinite. So it's like saying there is an infinite well of love that we have been made or evolved from. So it's really wonderful for us to be exploring those numbers where we can get to know ourselves and do ourselves no harm, but love ourselves and the other. Thank you for watching. If you like this presentation, click the like button and share, because this is how we do it. We share to actualizing self-full love. Stay blessed, stay bright, be a field, because we are planting new seeds. Stay ignited. Thank you. Namaste. And spill over with love.